Welcome back, I'm Satch, and today, thanks to Diagnostic World, I'm driving this 1988 Porsche 911 Carrera 3.2, which is finished in God's red. This thing is a relic from the past, and today I can't wait to get behind the driver's seat, take it out for a drive, experience those air-cooled sounds, and just generally give it a good thrash and see if we can hit that red line or two. It's sitting on 16-inch Fuchs alloy wheels with a 205 profile tyre up front, 245 profile tyre in the rear. These are new wheels. They are 7-inch wheels on the front, 7-inch wide, 9-inch wheels on the rear. Now, a few people have said to me, you wouldn't be able to fit 9-inch wheels on a standard Carrera. Well, I have, and they fit absolutely perfectly. I do need to fettle the suspension on this car a little bit, and that will be done over the coming months. So as we come around the back of the car, you can see we clearly have an impact bumper car. If you don't know anything about impact bumpers, they were kind of before the 964 variant, and they give that almost like an accordion style look, and they have these big huge like plastic bumperettes, I think they call them, on the rear. I don't mind them. A lot of people don't like them, but I don't actually mind them. I've recently put on a flat deck lid as well. We did have the whale tail on here, which I don't exactly mind, but I just prefer the flat lines and the classic lines of a good old Porsche 911. So we still have some holes here from where the whale tail was mounted. I'll be getting rid of those and getting that sorted over the next few months as well. So as we come into the inside of the car, we'll pop the front cam. We need to pop this little guy here. Just pull that out, and then we can get access to the front, which you do get quite a considerable amount of storage space in here. We have a carpet here. This kind of gives you a bit of an idea of how kind of deep this is. This is my little case where I have all of my camera equipment, and I just cover that up just in case it does kind of damage this, which is not protected at all, as you can see. If we want to look at the engine compartment here, well, we need to come around the side again, and we need to pull this little guy. Now watch the rear pop right up. Doesn't normally do that because this is designed to have the whale tail on, so since we've took the whale tail off, it kind of just pops right up. But this is essentially what we've got. It's a flat 6 3.2 litre engine with a big old fan. It's not an air conditioning car, so we don't have any air conditioning unit, which is a little bit of a problem in the summer, but there we go. But like I say, what essentially we have here is a big old fan on a belt, and this is an air-cooled car, but a lot of people might call this an oil-cooled car. Why do they call it an oil-cooled car? Well, because it's full of oil, believe it or not. It has about 10 or 11 litres of oil, and essentially what happens is it's a combination of oil and air which actually cools the engine. So what essentially happens is, under load, under acceleration, we have a thermostat, which when the oil kind of heats up, it kind of comes to the front of the car. It is cooled by the air, then it goes back to the engine and circulates the engine. So it's a combination of oil and water. You can call it both, but I think most people go with the whole air-cool thing. Everything on this car is a little button or something you have to press in order to make something happen. So if we want to undo the fuel cap, we need to come in again, and we need to press or pull this little guy, and you'll see it kind of pops up, and then you can pop it up. You've got a leather cover, another cover, and then you can pull the cap off and fuel up. It says here minimum 98 RON. You should always be using high octane fuel on one of these cars. And when you close the door on these things, they really do make a good solid thunk. So typical of a German car made from the 80s. Now, coming into the car, we have these beautiful handles with a little latch on the inside, which makes a solid clicking sound when you're coming in. And we'll have a look at the interior inside the car, start it up and take it for a drive. Listen to this clunk. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, so what we've got is I believe it's a 968 or 944 Club Sport steering wheel, and we've got the typical 5-gauge layout, which is so synonymous with Porsche cars over the years, up until the modern cars where they have digital dashboards, but this one does not. So on the left hand side here, we've got our levels. We've got a fuel level and an oil level. I'll come to that in a moment. Then we have temperatures. We've got the oil temperatures, we've got the oil pressures, We've got the tachometer in the middle there, the rev counter, which red lines up to, what would that be, about 6,300 RPM, which is not massive, but for the 80s, that was pretty big. That was pretty good for back in the day. Then we've got the speedometer with the total distance. This car's covered 96,866 miles. And then we've got a clock on the the right-hand side here. Here we have the 5-speed G50 gearbox, which is really, really good and allows me to glide through the gears with ease. We've got a few heater controls or temperature controls, which honestly, I have absolutely no idea how they work. A lot of people I speak to says, don't even ask me, they don't even know. I think what a lot of people do is they'll get aftermarket air conditioning units put in and just completely forget about all of this, and they have like an extra button kind of here. So that kind of links up with that. I have absolutely no idea how. And we've also got a glove. We've got a glove box, I think. It's like a twist. It's a twist thing here. So we've got a little bit of space there. What we've got is also, and I've never actually done this yet. Apparently, this is an ashtray. I've never opened it before. So there could be some money in here or some gold or something. No. That's a shame, but that's a cool little feature because I never even knew that was there. I was watching a video a few weeks ago and I was like, oh my God, it's an ashtray. We need to start this up. Key on the right. Everybody always goes on about key on the left. In this car, it's key on the right. It does have CarPlay as well. So this is a really good system actually, and it just allows you to have some nice tunes when you're driving, and it hooks up to like a box here, which then a cable runs underneath up to my phone right there. So, and if we don't undo the immobilize, if we don't start the engine within a minute of demobilizing the car, then it won't start. So the pedals, they are offset. So if you notice, like I'm looking dead on at the steering wheel, and you can see my left foot and my right foot is also behind here. In a standard car, you might expect something like that, but oh no. This car, you've got clutch, brake, accelerator. So we put a bit of gas on. The car is warmed up. Oh, it sounds fantastic as well. So we've switched over to POV. Safety first, case, seatbelt on, and then we are ready to take this thing for a drive. Hopefully I've got good vision, because last time I drove this car with a POV, I had the camera too far down. It was kind of like that, so you couldn't really see what was going on or where we were driving. Hopefully today, that's going to be a hell of a lot better. So this thing doesn't have power steering, and it's a 1988 car, and in 1988, cars were generally starting to get power steering, starting to get hydraulically assisted steering, and this car doesn't. So I think this was kind of seen as a bit outdated when it came out back in 1988. However, I think these days, the fact that it doesn't have power steering just purely adds to the charm. It was a little bit harder to drive when I first bought it, but then I changed the front tires over, and since changing to those 205 16-inch wheels, it's a lot easier to drive. It's a lot easier to steer. It doesn't feel like we've got power steering, but it certainly feels a lot more usable and a lot more easier to kind of just maneuver as and when you're driving around. You can see I'm just kind of moving the wheel with ease here. So we're shifting through the gears. The gears are quite long. You can see I'm going up to over 40 mile an hour there, not even at 3,000 RPM. So the gears kind of like, what you kind of find is if you're on a twisty road, and a fast twisty road, you generally, in a normal car, you kind of feel like you should be changing gear. But in this, your instinct is to go, but then you're like, well, hang on, I don't need to change gear. I'm still okay in the gear that I'm in. And even now, 18 months after I bought this car, I'm still trying to get used to that, because in other cars I'd be like, they're a lot closer together gears, and you're moving like that quite a lot. But in this, no, just keep it as it is. You're generally okay in second or third. Just another day on the crazy roads of Newcastle upon Tyne. So the values of these cars, they've shot up in recent years, and when I say recent, I probably mean more like the last kind of 15 years. Back in say 2010, nobody wanted these cars, nobody wanted the 964s either, so with that in mind, you could generally pick them up for around about between 10 and 15,000 pounds. I did see an advert from, I think it was around about 2010, and they were asking £2,500 for a Porsche 964. Absolutely nobody wanted them, but as the years went by, people started thinking, hang on a second, these 964s, they're really good cars. So values went up, and the values of the G models as well, they kind of followed suit. To the tune whereby a well sorted or a well looked after 3.2 is probably going to cost you in the region of around about 55 to 60,000 pounds in today's market, and we're now coming into September 2025. Now this car, when brand new in the UK, started from 29,000 pounds, and in today's money that is about 81,000 pounds, which actually makes it sound pretty cheap when you consider that a brand new 992, if you were to go on and spec a brand new 992 base model Carrera without any options at all, that's going to see you at 103,000 pounds. So it's more expensive today to buy a base level Porsche 911 than it was in 1988, to the tune of about 22,000 pounds. Or was that 24,000 pounds? I was never good at maths. So the little indicator stalks here, they kind of do feel a little bit flimsy. We've got water here with these almost minute, almost childlike windscreen washers, and then we've got this button right here. You probably can't see it, but we've got the sunroof, which will close for air purposes. When I'm talking to people about this car, like, it's kind of sometimes difficult to explain exactly what it is, because there's a bit of confusion. Some people call them a G model, some people call them a G body, and I think G model is the correct terminology for these cars. But even that doesn't really kind of sound right when you consider the generations after it. There are 964, 993, 996, 997, 991, and now 992. So why doesn't this have a kind of like a 3-code suffix? You've kind of just got to explain this car as like it's either a 3.2 G model or a 3-litre G model, and people will be like, oh, all right, you drive a G-Wagon, do you? And you're like, well, no, some people just won't get it. And even it took me quite a while to really understand and get my head around it, and I'm a Porsche guy through and through, so brake check. The brakes are never going to be as good as a modern car, but they just take a little bit of getting used to. You kind of need to apply quite a bit of force to make sure you're going to stop where you need to, otherwise it could be an expensive repair bill, and nobody wants that. Oh my days, that sound! Nearly hitting the 6.3 RPM. Again, we need to be on the brakes here because this corner is quite tight. When we come out of that, we're straight on the throttle in third. And you can see how these gears, they are quite long. We just still don't need to change. We'll change it now. It's 6,000 RPM in third. It just urges you to put your foot down more and more. You don't want to be driving like Miss Daisy in a car like this, because it almost wants you to go fast, because when this car's driving fast, everything's ticking over nicely and everything's ticking exactly how it's supposed to be. And of course now I'm stuck behind this Skoda Fabia, which through no fault of his own finds himself in front of a madman in a Porsche 911. With ease, that fuel injection shines. If you take this car, let's say example, to a Porsche show or a car show, it can kind of get lost in the crowd, where these days it seems like every other car is a GT3 or a GT4, GT4S, RS Spider, which they are amazing cars. There's no denying it, and I would never rubbish any of those cars at all, because I've got friends who have them and they're superb cars. And cars like this can kind of get lost in the crowd of a car like that, a car show like that. But when you bring them out in the open, out in the real world, seeing a car like this is probably quite a rarity. So we're on the Northumberland, well, I was going to say back roads, we'll be on the back roads in a moment. But on these roads, seeing a car like this may not happen for another 3-4 months, may not even happen again this year. And when you're looking out of the windscreen, you can see these huge torpedo wings which kind of light up the road ahead for you. So I mentioned earlier that they were like £55,000 to £60,000 for good condition cars. I would definitely put this car in the bracket of being a very good condition car. It's been well looked after. The service history on this is impeccable. It's immense. We've got folders worth of paperwork. And it just shows that over the years, the car has been well looked after, well maintained, and people have spent money on it. So I paid £55,000 for this car, which I think is about right. And actually, when you hear sounds like that, it's really, really cheap, because that is unbelievable. I hope you can hear what I can hear. My days. Reliability of the engines, you know, these air-cooled engines, they are super reliable. You don't have any IMS bearing or bore scoring to worry about. They will probably need a rebuild at some point, so this has got like 96,000 miles, so I think we're okay for now. I don't think we're anywhere near needing a rebuild at the moment. Generally at first you can get away with a top-end rebuild, but I think once these cars start to hit maybe around about, like, say the 200,000 mark, high 190s, 200,000 mile mark, you may need to start thinking about, I might start showing signs of needing a full rebuild. And full rebuilds on these cars can be really, really expensive. So I think we'll call that there, guys. I need to go and find some coffee. I'll see you on the next video, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm Al Sach.